There is a book the ancients revered, yet you've never heard its name in church. A scroll dictated by an angel, where time flows in sacred cycles, where giants walk the earth, and angels guard the gates of memory. Why was this celestial manuscript, the Book of Jubilees, erased from the Bible? Who decided humanity wasn't ready for it? And what truths does it still whisper from the shadows? Could this lost book reveal the divine rhythm you were meant to live by? Or unveil a cosmic war that still rages around you? Some knowledge is hidden not to protect the truth, but to protect the illusion. It's time to lift the veil. Before we begin, consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel. Your support helps us continue sharing these lost teachings with seekers around the world. What if I told you that there exists a book, older than the Gospels, hinted at by the prophets, that was so powerful, so subversive, that it was cast aside, hidden, and ultimately banned from the Bible? A text that once guided kings and mystics alike, only to vanish from the pages of history. Welcome, seekers of hidden wisdom, to the enigma of the Book of Jubilees. Imagine a world where celestial beings walk among mortals, where time itself is divided into sacred cycles, and where the origins of humanity are narrated not by prophets alone, but by divine voices echoing through the corridors of eternity. This was the world the Book of Jubilees unveiled, a world that threatened the very structure of canonical authority. In today's exploration, we will journey through long-forgotten chambers of spiritual power. We will uncover why early church leaders, fearing its hidden teachings and radical chronology, silenced this text. We will reveal lost fragments of a divine calendar, cosmic secrets concealed beneath its verses, and the clandestine rituals it prescribed for those brave enough to master its mysteries. But this is more than a historical investigation. This is an invitation, a call to reclaim the hidden key that, once understood, can realign your perception of time, destiny, and divine law. By the end of this video, you will not only know why the Book of Jubilees was banned but also glimpse how its esoteric wisdom can awaken dormant forces within your own soul. Are you ready to breach the veil of sanctioned history? To question the very canon that shapes our spiritual reality? Then light your inner candle, steady your breath, and prepare to step into the luminous shadows of a forbidden scripture. Let us begin. Centuries before the towering spires of Christendom rose in Rome, the ancient Near East pulsed with a tapestry of faiths and lore, from the star charts of Babylon to the temple sanctuaries of Egypt and the mountain shrines of early Israel. It was within this crucible of cultures, where scrolls traveled on camel caravans and oral traditions whispered through desert winds, that the Book of Jubilees took shape. Often called the Lesser Genesis, it reframes creation, the flood, and the giving of the law through the prism of Jubilees, sacred 49-year cycles that mirror cosmic rhythms and divine intention. At its core, Jubilees presents a chronology at odds with the familiar timeline of Genesis. Where the standard biblical narrative measures time by generations, Jubilees carves history into precise jubilees, 7 weeks of years, followed by a final Sabbath of restoration. This calendrical pattern reveals an underlying philosophy, that time itself is divine, structured for human sanctification. By recasting Israel's story according to heavenly cycles, the text challenges the authority of lunar-based calendars and the priestly hierarchy that upheld them. It offers an alternative roadmap to holiness, one that would have resonated deeply with mystics who sought to align their lives with celestial order. Yet this was more than a mere chronicle. Embedded within its pages are dialogues between angels and patriarchs, ethical injunctions clothed in cosmic metaphor, and vivid portrayals of righteous souls who walked in luminous robes. Jubilees insists that every act, be it the naming of animals by Adam, Abraham's hospitality, or Moses's revelation at Sinai, participates in a sacred drama unfolding across Jubilee cycles. This heightened sense of ritual time, where human history is inseparable from divine orchestration, imbued the text with an authority both spiritual and political. However, as the early Christian movement sought to consolidate its canon, the Book of Jubilees presented an awkward mirror. Its emphasis on strict observance of Sabbath festivals and dietary laws aligned more closely with sects such as the Essenes, and even hinted at angelic mediators, that some church fathers deemed too Jewish, too esoteric, or too aligned with heterodox sects. In the late 2nd century, figures like Irenaeus and Clement of Alexandria surveyed ecclesial libraries and made deliberate choices. Texts that reinforced an emerging Orthodox Christology would remain, those that amplified divergent calendars, angelologies, or legal rituals would be excised or relegated to obscurity. Further complicating its fate, fragments of Jubilees, preserved in caves at Qumran, bore witness to its popularity among Jewish mystics who viewed it as a vault of hidden wisdom. Yet, to later bishops who erected the Trinitarian dogma, such writings threatened to fracture a fragile unity. Better, they concluded, to preserve the core narrative of salvation history and consign alternative chronologies to the margins of memory. Thus, the Book of Jubilees slipped from canonical favor, relegated to commentaries and the dusty shelves of monastic libraries. But its philosophical heartbeat, time as temple, history as ritual, humanity as co-authors with the divine, still echoes among hidden traditions. In our next segment, we will begin to peel back the layers of its core teachings, unveiling the symbolic maps and allegories that once guided initiates toward a transcendent communion with heavenly forces. To truly grasp why the Book of Jubilees was banished from the sacred canon, we must first unlock the heart of its mystery, its radical reimagining of time and divine law. Picture time not as a linear march from past to future, but as a vast celestial clockwork, turning in precise cycles that echo the very breath of creation. Jubilees reveals that history is divided into segments of 49 years, 7 cycles of 7, culminating in a sacred Jubilee, year of restoration and renewal. This is not mere chronology, it is a cosmic rhythm that shapes destiny itself. Imagine the cosmos as a grand temple, where every Jubilee marks the opening and closing of celestial gates. Within these gates, angels descend and ascend, bearing divine decrees and balancing the scales of justice. In this vision, human actions are not isolated moments but threads woven into a tapestry that spans generations. The patriarchs, Adam, Noah, Abraham, are more than historical figures, they are archetypal initiates, their lives synchronizing with the unfolding cycles to manifest divine will on earth. But why does this matter? Because the Book of Jubilees insists on strict observance of the Sabbath and festival laws, not merely as ritual compliance, but as keys to unlocking cosmic order. The text portrays the law as a living, breathing covenant between heaven and earth, each commandment a vibrational frequency aligning the soul with the divine pulse. In the eyes of its proponents, adherence to these sacred cycles was essential to maintaining the balance between good and evil, light and darkness, order and chaos. Yet, this cosmic order carries a hidden weight. Jubilees introduces a world teeming with angelic beings, watchers, messengers, and rulers, who influence human fate and guard divine secrets. Unlike later canonical texts that simplify angelic roles, Jubilees paints them as active participants in history's unfolding drama, sometimes even engaging in conflict with fallen spirits who corrupt humanity. This dualistic vision, a celestial battle between forces of light and shadow, challenges simplistic notions of providence and fate, demanding a more nuanced understanding of spiritual warfare. Here lies one of the key tensions. The text's angelology and legalism made it suspect to emerging Christian orthodoxy, which sought to emphasize salvation through grace rather than strict adherence to ritual law. Moreover, by presenting an alternate calendar and divine timetable, Jubilees implicitly questioned the authority of the priests and bishops who controlled religious timekeeping. It was a challenge not only to theological doctrine but to institutional power. To bring this into perspective, consider the analogy of a clockmaker. If the official clergy were the keepers of the public clock, Jubilees was a secret blueprint for a more complex, multidimensional timepiece, one that accounted for invisible forces and spiritual laws beyond the reach of human rulers. Such knowledge, once revealed, had the power to realign not only spiritual practice but the very perception of reality. Yet, the book does not lay bare all its secrets at once. It is coded in symbolism and metaphor, inviting the seeker to meditate deeply, to decode its cycles, and to engage with the mysteries of time, law, and divine justice. Some questions remain tantalizingly open. How do these Jubilees align with modern calendars? What does the sacred restoration entail? And how might this ancient cosmic order resonate with our own spiritual journey today? In the next section, we will dive deeper into these hidden meanings, dispel common misconceptions, and uncover lesser-known truths that reveal why the Book of Jubilees remains a beacon for esoteric seekers, even in exile. In the quiet hollows of Qumran, buried beneath centuries of dust and silence, fragments of the Book of Jubilees waited, like shards of a celestial mirror, scattered and forgotten. When the Dead Sea Scrolls were unearthed in the mid-20th century, they shook the foundations of biblical scholarship, revealing an older, deeper, and far more complex tradition than many were prepared to accept. Among the scrolls, copies of Jubilees surfaced, not once, not twice, but in multiple versions. This was not a fringe text, it was revered, studied, and transcribed by a mystical community obsessed with purity, light, and divine order. Why, then, did such a revered manuscript disappear from mainstream spiritual life? The answer is layered and paradoxical, much like the text itself. At its heart, the Book of Jubilees is a work of divine memory. It claims to be dictated to Moses by the Angel of the Presence, a heavenly being who unveils the true history of the world. Not history written by men, flawed and politicized, but history written from above, precise, sacred, unbroken. In this version, events unfold according to a divine rhythm, not human error. The fall of the Watchers, the birth of nations, the flood, the covenants, all are recast within a framework of Jubilees and angelic decrees. One of the most provocative claims of Jubilees is that sin did not begin with Adam alone, but with cosmic rebellion. The Watchers, a class of divine beings, descended to earth and corrupted humankind with forbidden knowledge and unholy unions. From them sprang the Nephilim, giants of chaos and violence. This echoes themes from the Book of Enoch, another apocryphal text buried alongside Jubilees. The implication is radical, that evil has a cosmic origin, and humanity is caught in a much larger, spiritual war than the canonical Bible openly admits. This is a dangerous truth. For the emerging Christian Church, which sought to emphasize redemption through Christ and a universal gospel of love and forgiveness, the cosmic battle theology of Jubilees was too arcane, too dualistic. It revived older fears, the kind that saw demons in the wilderness, spirits in the stars, and angelic gatekeepers at every threshold. Jubilees does not ask its readers to simply believe. It demands spiritual vigilance, discipline, and alignment with divine law, not merely moral law, but celestial law etched into the very fabric of time. And then there is the calendar. Jubilees advocates for a 364-day solar calendar, an exact, mathematical design, unchanging, incorruptible. This calendar aligns the seasons, festivals, and sacred days with the movements of the heavens, suggesting that the lunar calendar used by the priestly elite in Jerusalem had been corrupted. This was not a minor difference. If timekeeping itself was wrong, then festivals like Passover, Yom Kippur, and the Feast of Tabernacles were being celebrated on the wrong days, thus rendering the rituals, the sacrifices, even the priesthood itself out of sync with divine will. This was theological dynamite. To accept the Jubilees calendar was to accuse the religious establishment of error. It threatened the temple's authority, the priesthood's integrity, and the growing cohesion of early Christian doctrine. And so the calendar of Jubilees, precise and mathematical, was branded heretical. The book that carried it, ostracized. But even more controversial was its vision of the covenant. In Jubilees, the covenant given to Abraham is eternal and binding, not just spiritually, but ritually. Circumcision, dietary purity, and Sabbath observance are not cultural customs, they are eternal ordinances observed even by angels. The implication? That divine beings themselves keep the law. That the Torah is not merely for Jews, or for a season, but a reflection of divine order practiced across realms. This made it deeply problematic for the Christian movement, which emphasized freedom from the law and the inclusion of Gentiles. Jubilees upheld a version of divine law so stringent, so mystical, that it cut across the grain of ecclesiastical inclusivity. For the mystic, it was a blueprint. For the institutional church, it was a threat. And yet, beneath its strictures lies an extraordinary beauty, a worldview in which every moment is sacred, every action echoes in eternity, and human beings are co-creators in a cosmic liturgy. In Jubilees, history is not a dry chronicle but a living testament. Angels record every deed. Every sin, every offering, every act of mercy is logged in heavenly books. Your life, in this view, is not anonymous. It is known, watched, woven into a much greater story. This may explain why Jubilees never died, it merely went underground. Preserved in Ethiopia's ancient churches, whispers of its calendar appear in mystical Jewish sections. Its vision of sacred time influences esoteric orders even today. And its final secret? That the restoration of the true calendar, the return to divine rhythm, will precede the coming of a new age. That only when humanity realigns with sacred time can the veil be lifted, and the garden, lost so long ago, be restored. Now that we have journeyed through the mystical corridors of the Book of Jubilees, unveiling its cosmic calendars, angelic hierarchies, and sacred covenants, it's time to bring this ancient wisdom into the pulse of your daily life. For the true power of esoteric knowledge lies not in dusty texts locked away on shelves, but in its living application, how it awakens the soul, reshapes perception, and transforms the mundane into the sacred. Aligning with sacred time, the Jubilee calendar as spiritual practice. The Book of Jubilees centers its entire worldview on the sacred cycles of time, the 49-year Jubilees and the 364-day solar calendar. While we no longer measure time in these precise terms, you can begin to tune your consciousness to this rhythm. Start by observing natural cycles, the phases of the moon, the turning of seasons, and the solstices and equinoxes. Cultivate a meditation or journaling practice that tracks your own Jubilee cycles of growth and rest, roughly every 7 years. Consider what in your life is ready to be released or renewed. A simple exercise: mark your personal Sabbath days. Once a week, set aside intentional time to rest, reflect, and realign with your inner rhythm. In these moments, practice conscious breathwork or prayer to connect with the divine pulse that Jubilees describes. This practice echoes the text's insistence that rest is not mere idleness but a sacred reset, a chance to recalibrate with cosmic order. Engaging the angelic realm, invoking the Watchers. Jubilees presents angels not as distant messengers, but as active guardians and collaborators in human destiny. While traditional religion often distances us from such beings, you can cultivate a personal connection with your own spiritual guides, modern Watchers, who stand at the thresholds of your consciousness. Begin by creating a quiet sacred space, perhaps an altar with candles, crystals, or symbols meaningful to you. In stillness, invite the presence of your guardian angels or guides. Ask for clarity, protection, or insight into the hidden rhythms of your life. Keep a journal to record any symbols, dreams, or intuitive nudges that arise in this communion. Over time, you will develop a sensitivity to the subtle guidance that the Book of Jubilees suggests flows between the earthly and heavenly realms. Ritual purity, a pathway to inner harmony. The Book of Jubilees places immense emphasis on purity, both physical and spiritual. While ancient dietary laws and strict legalism may not suit modern spirituality, the underlying principle remains profound: purification as preparation for encountering the divine. Consider adopting small, intentional rituals that cleanse your body and mind. This might be a weekly fast, a cleansing bath with herbs or salt, or mindful breathing exercises to clear mental clutter. These acts become sacred thresholds, moments where you shed the mundane and prepare to receive higher wisdom. Like the priests of old, you are setting the stage for alignment with divine order. Reclaiming lost wisdom, questioning authority and seeking truth. One reason the Book of Jubilees was banned is because it questioned the religious authorities of its day, challenging calendars, priesthoods, and interpretations of law. In your own spiritual journey, embrace this spirit of inquiry. Do not accept dogma blindly. Instead, explore sacred texts, traditions, and teachings with discernment. Allow yourself to question inherited beliefs and discover what resonates deeply with your inner truth. Engage in contemplative study, discussion groups, or solitary reflection to deepen your understanding. As Jubilees shows us, truth often lies hidden beneath layers of symbolism and coded language. Your task is to become an active seeker, decoding, discerning, and integrating the wisdom that aligns with your soul's path, overcoming obstacles, navigating the path of hidden knowledge. Walking the path of esoteric wisdom is not without challenges. You may encounter skepticism from others, internal doubts, or moments where the teachings feel obscure or overwhelming. The Book of Jubilees itself is dense, layered, and sometimes cryptic. To overcome these obstacles, cultivate patience. Spiritual knowledge unfolds gradually, often in cycles, much like the Jubilees themselves. Seek community. Connect with like-minded seekers who respect the sacred process of unveiling hidden truths. Anchor in practice. Ground mystical insights with daily habits, meditation, journaling, ritual, that keep you connected to your own experience. Balance faith with reason. While embracing mystery, maintain a discerning mind to avoid illusions or dogmatic traps. Transforming consciousness, the promise of Jubilee wisdom. Ultimately, engaging with the Book of Jubilees is an invitation to transform how you perceive time, history, and your own place in the cosmos. It calls you to awaken from the false time of mechanical clocks and cultural constructs, and to step into a living, breathing temporal reality, where each moment is charged with sacred potential and divine justice. By integrating these teachings, you realign yourself with a cosmic order that transcends ordinary understanding. This alignment can deepen your sense of purpose, sharpen your intuition, and cultivate a profound peace rooted in knowing you are part of an eternal, sacred dance. When you embrace the wisdom of Jubilees, you become not just a passive observer of history, but an active participant in its unfolding. You reclaim a lost legacy, a secret inheritance of light, rhythm, and divine law. The Book of Jubilees stands as a profound testament to a spiritual reality that transcends time, tradition, and authority, a reality where history is sacred, time is divine, and humanity is woven into a cosmic tapestry of light and shadow. Though it was banned, buried, and branded heretical, its heartbeat still echoes through hidden corridors of mysticism, whispering secrets to those willing to listen. We have journeyed through its mysteries, the sacred cycles of Jubilees that mark not just years, but the very rhythm of existence, the angelic hierarchies that watch and guide, the cosmic battle between order and chaos that unfolds in every human soul. We saw how its radical vision of law, time, and covenant challenged the religious powers of its day, leading to its exile from canonical scripture, yet never from the hearts of seekers. What does this mean for you, now? To engage with the Book of Jubilees is to awaken to a deeper dimension of reality, where the mundane becomes miraculous, and every moment is an opportunity for renewal. It invites you to reclaim your place as a co-creator in the sacred drama of existence, to align your life with the divine pulse of time, and to recognize the angels that accompany you on your path. In a world fragmented by noise, haste, and disconnection, the ancient wisdom of Jubilees offers a beacon, an invitation to slow down, attune to sacred rhythms, and step into a timeless dance with the cosmos itself. Will you answer the call? The Book of Jubilees was banned not because it was false, but because its truths were too powerful, too disruptive, too illuminating for established order. Yet power suppressed only deepens in the shadows, waiting to be rediscovered by those with courage and curiosity. If this journey into the hidden wisdom of Jubilees has stirred something within you, I invite you to explore further, dive into ancient texts, meditate on sacred time, and share your discoveries with fellow seekers. The path of hidden knowledge is a shared one, and together, we can bring light to the forgotten corners of our spiritual heritage. Before you go, I'd love to hear your thoughts. What struck you most about the Book of Jubilees? How might embracing sacred time change your life? Share your reflections below, and let's continue this journey of awakening together. Remember, sometimes the most profound truths lie just beyond the veil of what we have been told. To read between the lines, to listen to the silence, to honor the cycles of time, this is the path of the mystic, the seeker, the awakened soul. Thank you for walking this path with me. Until our next exploration, may you move in rhythm with the divine, guided by the light of ancient stars.